Welcome to the Melissa Banks Show. I'm your host, Melissa Banks. I'm excited you could join us today. This show is all about celebrating the journeys of authors, entrepreneurs, creatives, and people boldly chasing their dreams, creating meaningful products and services, and inspiring others to do the same. Each episode will uncover the stories behind the successes, the lessons learned from the challenges, and the advice that can spark action in your own life. My goal is simple: to remind you that your dreams are possible and to leave you feeling inspired and empowered.
Yeah.
Let's get started with today's show. Our guest today is Melanie Richardson Phillips. Melanie is an author, she's a speaker, she's an entrepreneur, and she has an incredible story to share with us today. Welcome to the show, Melanie.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. Thank you, Dr. Melissa.
I'm
Yes.
so excited to talk to you today.
Me too. I'm excited as well.
I know, Melanie, I believe in just starting from the beginning because we all have a start, right? We all have a beginning of this great journey that we're on. Talk to us a little bit about what sparked your journey as an author, as an entrepreneur, and how did you turn the dreams of all of that into the reality you have today?
Well, actually, as far as being an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur for 30 plus years on and off. Actually, longer than that. I've always had been a cosmetologist. Even when I was a director of HR and a director of operations for different organizations, I've always been a cosmetologist as well. I've sold real estate. I've done that. So I've always had that entrepreneur spirit. But what happened was for me to become an author, I actually was going through a divorce. And through the divorce, it was, very devastating. And in the midst of me just, crying out to God, like, Jesus, please help me. And one particular day, God said, pick up your pen and paper and write. And I'm like, okay, you want me to write? What am I going to write about? So I went and got my a pen. I actually got a notebook from out of my son's room and started writing. And God just emptied out into me, and I just poured out onto the paper and started writing. And that actually began the actual start of me writing. And then I remember asking God, okay, God, why can't you want me to write this book? This was the very first book. I said, but you giving me the words to say. If I'm gonna write about something, I want to write about me going through this divorce. And he said, no, you have to make sure you keep his dignity intact and write what I want you to write about. So yes.
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I know for me as an author, it just kind of happenstance happened. It wasn't something I ever wanted to do. So I love hearing the stories of how that began. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
So Melanie, is there a point in your journey? You've been doing a lot of things, an entrepreneur for a long time, now an author, you help other authors, you speak, you do a whole lot of stuff. Is there a certain turning point in your journey? When I think about my journey, there's a moment that I call my defining moment. That's when everything changed for me. Do you have that moment that you can share with us and share with us how that shaped you to who you are today?
Well, you know what? Can I go back and say this? Even though I was an entrepreneur, I was not a speaker. Well, of course, like I say, I was not an author, so therefore I was not ghostwriting. I didn't have my own publishing company then. And after me going through what I went through, in the midst of me going through what I went through, my daughter came over to my house one day and was like, Mom, I need to pray for you. Because at that particular time, being so devastated and broken, I could not pray for myself. So she did. She prayed for myself and my younger son. And in the midst of her praying, I heard God say, your bond is being strengthened. And with that being said, that's how I ended up founding the organization Strengthen the Bond LLC, and for mothers and daughters. So that's how that started. But It has impacted me a lot because what I do, what God has given me to do is to give back and pour into others, and especially mothers and daughters, with the strengthen the bond, bringing mothers and daughters together, because a lot of times they may have a I'm not going to say turbulent, because all mother daughter relationships are not turbulent, but some of them may be estranged, some of them may be turbulent, and some of them may just have a lot of disagreements going on, especially at the teenage years, and sometimes they can carry over into the adult years. You have a lot of hurt, mother hurt, especially when she was growing up, that she did not get the help from, and it trickled down into the relationship with her and her daughter. And also, daughters go through things as well. So I hope I'm answering your question. But um, we just I just ended up forming that just to make sure that I gave back, because God says that what I'm doing for you is not for yourself, it's for you to help others. So that's why I ended up doing everything that I'm doing. Yes.
You know what? Several things stood out to me in what you just shared, but one of the most powerful moments to me is when you said you were in this place and you
Mhm.
couldn't pray for yourself, but
Yeah.
your daughter came and prayed for you and your other son. And that's, to me, is strengthening the bond, because I shared that passion with you, of a mother daughter relationship, and I
Yeah.
just feel that that was so powerful, that turned so many things around for you. That was a moment that I really wanted to bring some attention back to. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Did I answer your question at all?
Well, my question was, if there was a turning point in your journey, and how did it impact you today? And yes, you have some other things you wanted to share on that.
But so the turning point in my journey was that after going through everything that I went through, I realized that this was not for me. Even though the Lord allowed me to go through these devastating things, it was not for me. It was for me to help others. And I just could not understand it. However, now I get it, because if it was not for me going through the divorce, then my relationship, now I've always had a great relationship with the Lord, but it became even that much stronger. I was able to build a stronger relationship. It's like I went to him for everything. And I thought that that was what I was doing at first, but apparently not, because during that time was the first time that I actually heard God speak. Before that, I heard him speak through the Bible, and, different things may happen. But that time I actually heard his voice audible. So it impacted me a lot. It turned my life around. And through that, I was able to impact and help other people, which helps me. Because when I'm helping someone else, it actually helps me as well. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I believe that the first time that I shared my story publicly changed everything within me at that moment. Because
Yeah.
prior to that, I was holding it close. We hold those things close, those challenges that we have to overcome. I was holding them very close. But the moment I stepped on that stage and actually shared some of the intimate things in my journey and saw the impact on the other women, but it changed everything within me forever. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Now, Melanie, I want to talk to you about challenges, because I do believe we show up as entrepreneurs, as women who pour into other women. We show up together, right? We show up like
Yeah.
everything's easy. We move through the curves, and this is what people see. So I do feel it's important for us to share some of the challenges that we go through. So, what is a challenge that you could share with us, and how you were able to overcome it?
Wow. I've had a couple of challenges, but a lot of challenges throughout my life. But one particular challenge that I went through and was able to overcome when, and it's funny because I'm going to go back to me going through the divorce. My daughter was spending a lot of time with myself, because we lived in Wisconsin, and my other family, my parents and a lot of my immediate family, they lived in Tennessee. So, and that's where I'm originally from. So my daughter would come over, but she was newly married, and she spent a lot of time, which I didn't understand it then, because I'm thinking, hey, you just want to be with your mom because your mom and your dad is going through a divorce, and you trying to be here for us. But she was newly married, and she ended up spending a lot of time away from her husband. And I had to realize it when she says, Mom, my husband was saying, and I don't want to call any names, he was saying that, you spending a lot of time with your mom, but you still have to maintain home as well. And I could not understand that for the life of me. That was a challenge for me. But then I had to realize, you know what, Melanie, although you're going through this, she has a husband. She needs to be there for her husband. She is newly married. She can't spend all her time with me. She has to spend time with her husband and help build their relationship up. So that was a challenge, but I got over that because God was able to say, I'm going to be with you when nobody else is with you. I'm going to be with you regardless. And this is who I need to spend time with, in my prayer closet with God, spending time with him. And when I realized that, I was able to stand back and say, you know what? I understand that, you were coming over a lot, and I couldn't understand it at first, but now I do. You need to spend more time with your spouse. You need to be there for your husband. And I need to spend more time with God, who I should have been spending more time with anyway. So yes,
Yeah. Oh, great. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
yes.
Okay, Melanie, one of the things that you do is you uplift, you encourage, you motivate others, women and daughters, but you do so much in different ways. You ghostwrite, you help people in that area, you write. So talk to us about how you hope that your work will impact the others people that receive it.
I want my work to impact others in a way that they're able to step out, and especially whatever I do, even if it's strengthen the bond, even if it's ghostwriting, I want them to be able to step out and tell their truth. Pull the mask off, because a lot of times we are hiding behind a mask. Regardless of what's going on in our lives, we may show up one way and then we go home and be another way. So I want the women, I even want fathers and sons, not just mothers and daughters, but fathers and sons, because that's what the strength and the bond foundation is about, the family in its totality. I want them to show up and say, this who I am. I'm not going to hide behind a mask. I'm going to let God lead me. I'm going to follow his direction. And I want to be the vessel that God uses to help people go to the forefront, because it's very important that they understand I'm just a vessel. But when they know that God is using me to help them, then they will understand it more, because it's not me. It's really not me. I can't do anything by myself. It is all about the Lord using me to help bring people to the forefront, to help them to remove their mask, let them know it's okay. We all go through things. We gonna go through our storm. We're gonna go through the rain, but the sun does come out. It does not rain always. So in the midst of that, just let them know that you too can get past everything that you've gone through. So that's what I want them to know, that the storm is not going to last always, and you can tell your story so that you too can help others as well, and stand 100% in it, because there's so much stuff that's going on, and we need to make sure that we are telling our truth.
Mm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. Let me take a moment here to reset. If you're just joining us, this is the Melissa Banks Show. Our guest today is Melanie Richardson Phillips. Melanie is an author, a speaker, and entrepreneur. Thank you again, Melanie, for that. Melanie, I wanted to talk to you about your couples. You're starting to talk with couples and work with
Yes.
couples. Talk to us a little bit about why that's important to get them right there when they're engaged when before the marriage. Talk to us about why you decided to speak to that audience as well.
Actually, not just couples, but the mothers and the mother-in-laws as
Oh
well.
wow.
Um, why I started, God told me strengthen the bond is bigger than what I think, and to expand it and to reach out to brides and to brides to bring the mother and the mother-in-laws together, because you're forming a family. You already have your one family with your mom and your side of the family, but then you're joining another family as well, so bringing them together so they can also create a bond even before that day. A lot of times, there can be, I have seen it where the mother-in-law and the bride don't get along, or they may be at odds, and just want them to know that you're not taking that son away from his mother. You're actually bringing that family in. You're not, that mother is not losing her daughter. She is also gaining a son. So bringing them together so that they can form a bond and strengthen that bond, then the family will be able to grow even that much more, because we family is very important. And if it starts before you say I do, you're strengthening the bond that matters most before you say I do. Then when you strengthen that bond, then the relationship with the groom, the husband to be, then you can strengthen that bond as well. So everything will kind of fall in place. It's a trickle down effect. But it actually starts with, and I'm gonna say with the bride to be, and also the groom, bringing their families in before that big day, having for mothers and daughters and the mother-in-law, I like having a not even a bridal party, but just having maybe a mother-daughter and mother-in-law retreat, or having something like that, or doing a webinar so that they can be able to spend time together. And I've also created the bonding box so that they can have affirmations, and where they can, be able to talk about certain things and pour into each other before that big day, so that it can last throughout the marriage, because the marriage is more than just one day. It's supposedly an eternity. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why God told me strengthen the bond is much more than just bringing mothers and the daughters together. Yes, that was the start, but bringing them together before you say I do, you got to strengthen the bond that matters the most.
Oh wow, that's so great. Talk to us a little bit about your journey. We both have been at it for a long time, but I also like to like to give you an opportunity to talk about starting. Share with our audience. Starting sometimes is the hardest part of the journey. What advice would you give to someone who is hesitant to just take that first step toward their dream?
Just do it, because you can put it off, and you keep putting it off. Next thing you know, you've put off what was supposed to have taken place yesterday, and it'd be a year, 2, 3 years from now, and you're still putting that thing off. Um, is it going to be easy? I can't say everything is going to be easy, because everything is not easy, but is it worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it. So just do it. Take small baby steps. Get you a community of people that's doing the same thing that you want to do. I've also noticed that, and it was funny, when I first started writing, when God told me to write, I said, okay, I'm just going to write this one book, Lord, that you told me to write. God was like, no, I have several things for you to put out. Actually, He had given me the start of like several books for me to put out. And I have put out a lot of those books, and I'm still working on some of those books as well. So, even getting started, and when I would be at my business writing on my laptop in between my clients, I remember one lady asked me, she said, Melanie, what are you doing? I'm writing. She said, what are you writing? I'm doing this book and all of that. She said, well, if you need anybody to help you get you started, I can. And she was the first person that was able to give me the people that I need, put them in my corner. And actually, my team was built because of her introducing me to people.
Mhm.
And with that being said, I still have that team right now. So for that person that is looking to do something, just even if it's on Facebook, if you're art, if you're a speaker, join different communities, Instagram, or even if you know somebody, just talk and say, hey, I'm looking at doing this. I'm looking at getting into the trucking business. I'm looking at being a realtor. Find that community of people so that they can pour into you and stand with you along the way while you are preparing to take that leap. So just do it. Just do it.
That's it, Melanie. Just get started.
Yes.
Melanie, my final question to you is what do you do when things get a little tough? When you're feeling overwhelmed, things are not working the way you planned it, and you need to encourage yourself. What are some of the things that you do to stay motivated and focused on your goals?
Speaking to myself, I affirm myself, but most of all, I pray because in order to stay motivated, I have to get by myself because a lot of times it's a lot of noise and chaos going around, and you're like, I just need to get by myself. So I get by myself and read my word and pray, but also affirm myself and be like, Lord, you said in your word that I can do all things that strengthen me. So I'm going to do all things. I am going to step out and do all things. I need to sit back and get by myself and just meditate on your word, just because your word is food to my soul. So I have to sit there and just let him pour into me so that I can be helpful to others. But getting the rest that you need, the proper rest that you need, and the self-care as well. We have to take care of ourselves. I love getting massages. I love walking. I love hiking. I love hiking. I was before I moved to Arizona, I used to jog a lot and, just I love running. I would go down to when I lived in Wisconsin, I would go down to the lake and run the hills and everything. So that is something that I enjoy doing, walking and jogging and hiking and reading and writing. So that helps me to get back on the right track and spending time with God and doing the work, the self-care, pouring back into myself.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. And just thank you for this amazing interview and just sharing so much of your journey with us. I know that we're all feeling inspired and empowered because of you. But what's next for you? And let our audience know how they can stay connected and support you.
Oh, wow. What's next for me? When I tell you, Melissa, that God has so much stuff for me to do, but right now I am concentrating on strengthening the bond that matters most between the mothers and the brides and her mom and the mother-in-laws. And even if the bride does not have a mother or whoever that significant person that played a big role in her life, bringing them together before her big day. So doing that, also doing more ghostwriting. I am writing for some CEOs and ghostwriting for some people right about now, and that's been great as well. But man, just trying to take strength in the bond far. Like I said, you can always go, you can by yourself, you may be able to do it fast, but when you are with a group of people, you can go far. So, hooking up, being able to collaborate with others. And so that I can take strengthen the bond across from state to state. It was at first I was just doing it in Tennessee and in Wisconsin, and now I'm out in Arizona, and I just want to take strengthen the bond as far as I can take it and do the things that need to be done, especially with strengthening the bond between the relationships of the family as a whole. And and publishing books and everything, and speaking. So to get in touch with me, you can go to strengthenthebond.com, or Melanie D Phillips. It's Melanie D Phillips.com, strengthenthebond.com, or melaniedphillips.com. Or you can contact me on Instagram. Instagram is Strengthen the Bond. And or you can contact me on Facebook. It's Melanie Richardson Phillips. My maiden name is Richardson. It's only like that on Facebook, so that people can get in touch with me, especially people from my past. But the Richardson and Phillips does not have a hyphen in it, because my page was hacked at one particular time, and I had to redo my page about a year and a half ago. So in order for people to still get in contact with me, I just took that hyphen out, and so it's Melanie Richardson Phillips. So you can contact me those ways, but especially through my website, because you can always go on my website and inquire about Melanie Phillips, where she's going to be at next, if you want her to bring strength in the bond to your city or your state, if you need me to speak. So again, I can be reached at melaniedphillips.com or strengthenthebond.com.
Well, thank you again, Melanie. This has been an amazing conversation. So thank you again for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for joining us for the Melissa Banks Show. I hope today's conversation with Melanie Phillips reminded you that your dreams are within reach, no matter where you're starting. Until next time, remember, your journey is unique, your dreams are valid, and you have the power to design a life you love. Keep believing, keep growing, and keep shining. Until next time, I'm your host, Melissa Banks. You have an amazing day.
Thank you.